unbalanced growth theory. In the balanced growth theory, we have looked at that we require simultaneous investment in on the sector of the economy. Okay, that means synchronized application of capital in a wide range of industries. Okay, we have to do. Then only what will happen? Economic growth will take place. So there they are talking about that we need to have proportional relationship. Okay, we need to have equilibrium. Okay, then only balanced growth will take place. In the unbalanced growth theory, okay, here we are going to talk about Hirschman formulation. So he is talking that we need to look at a specific sector, a strategically important sector, okay, and give importance to that sector because this underdeveloped country net capital resource and other resources. Okay, so we need to select a specific sector or industry, okay, rather than choosing on the sector and making investment simultaneously. For underdeveloped country, it is not possible to make investment simultaneously. Okay, so what he is saying is that we need to make deliberate unbalancing the economy. Okay, so we need to choose specific industries and deliberately unbalancing the growth path. Okay, understand this with one example. Okay, so when we are talking about proportional relationship, we are saying that on the sector, okay, must be given preference. Okay, on the sector must grow simultaneously. So here we take direct productive activity. Okay, and here I am taking social overhead capital. So there must be proportional relationship between direct productive activity and social overhead capital. Okay, that is what we call balanced growth. Okay, so in the balanced growth, on the sector must grow simultaneously. Okay, but what unbalanced growth is saying in the Hirschman formulation is saying that we need to unbalance this aspect. Okay, we need to focus on any one of the two first. Okay, then later will catch up. Okay, so by deliberately unbalancing, creating disproportion, creating tension between these two, okay, what will happen? We can develop this underdeveloped country in the path of balanced growth. Okay, so this is unbalanced growth path. Why this is the case? Because this underdeveloped country, okay, have limited resources and they cannot use these limited resources, okay, for simultaneous development of direct productive activity and social overhead capital. Okay, that is why we require deliberate unbalancing of the economy. By doing deliberate unbalancing of the economy, okay, we can achieve balanced growth path in the long run. How? Once we have look at a specific sector that is strategically important and we have developed that, okay, then the other sector can later on catch up. Okay. So the task here, okay, is to deliberately unbalance the economy, and we have to create disproportional relationship. We have to create tension in the system, okay, and we have to create disequilibrium. Okay, disequilibrium means focusing either on social overhead capital first, then direct productive activity will catch up, or focus on direct productive activity first, then later on social overhead capital will catch up. Okay. After this, okay, what he has done that in order to do this, okay, he has classified investment into two categories that I have talked. Okay, classification of investment. Okay, there are two kinds of investment. One is investment in your social overhead capital, and the other is your investment in direct productive activity. Okay, so he is saying that there are some projects, okay, that you are taking that will create more external economies than they appropriate. Okay, and it is called divergent series of investment. Let me repeat one more time. What I am saying is that there are some project, okay, that you will be taking, new project, okay. What it will do? It will create more external economies than it appropriate. Like you are making telecommunication, you're making transportation, you're making banking facility. Okay, so it is going to create more external economics than it will appropriate. That is what we call divergent series of investment. Okay, and the other, it will appropriate more external economics than it create. Okay, this is what we call convergent series of investment or induced investment. And this induced investment or convergent series of investment will be taken by the private sector. Okay, so there are two kinds of investment that an economy can take, but both cannot be taken simultaneously in an underdeveloped country. The reason being, this underdeveloped country is characterized by resource constraint. Okay, then after this we talk about growth process. Okay, which way of sequence we should take, because both cannot be chosen at the same time. Either I can choose first this one, social overhead capital, then direct productive activity will follow, or I can choose this one, then this will follow. Okay, both cannot be chosen simultaneously, so economy has to take decision. Growth process. Okay, so in the growth process you have two sequences. One is you are developing social overhead capital. Okay, that will induce direct productive activity in the economy. Okay, so you are creating capacity in the economy that is inducing direct productive activity. Okay, investment that need to production of goods and service. Okay, this is called excess capacity. Sequence that cause excess capacity that induce your private investment, and therefore direct productivity activity will be taking place. Second, he is saying that we can follow other sequence. First, we are developing direct productive activity. Okay, then based on the requirement, based on the tension, okay, what will happen? Social overhead capital will be provided. Okay, why social overhead capital will be provided? When direct productive activity is coming up, when you are setting up industry, there is a shortage of capacity, because you require banking facility, you require transportation, okay, you require communication. So there will be requirement of social overhead capital. So there will be tension building up in the system. So government has to provide social overhead capital. Okay, so through shortage of capital, shortage of capacity. Okay, so shortage of capital capacity, we can follow the sequence. Okay, there are two sequences that can be followed in order to achieve development in underdeveloped country. Okay, and he is saying that, okay, preference should be given to that sequence that maximize inducement to invest. Okay, so which one will be giving more inducement to invest? This excess capacity one, this sequence. Why? Because when you have social overhead capital, that will induce private sector to invest more. Okay, so let's look at this individually. So we have to do unbalancing the economy. Okay, we can do unbalancing economy through these two processes. Okay, one is the process by creating excess capacity, and other is the shortage of capacity. Okay, why we need to unbalance the economy? Because both cannot be increased simultaneously. Why both cannot be increased? Both means direct productive activity and social overhead capital. We cannot increase both simultaneously. Okay, direct productive activity and social overhead capital, we cannot increase both simultaneously. Why? Because there is a shortage of capital or shortage of resource and capital in the underdeveloped country. Okay, so we have to choose a sequence, either through excess capacity we want to develop by unbalancing the economy, or by unbalancing through shortage of capacity. Okay, so let me look at the sequence. Growth process through excess capacity. First case I am looking this one. Okay, so here you take cost of direct productive activity, and here cost and availability of social overhead capital. Okay, so I am drawing this proportion line from the origin. This is showing balanced growth. Okay. Now I am doing equal productive curve. Okay. Equal productive curve, or you can think in terms of isopod. Okay. Let me recapitulate what I am saying. Here I have taken cost of direct productive activity. Here I have taken cost and availability of the social overhead capital. Okay. I have drawn a proportional relationship between these two that represent my balance growth. Okay. Because balance growth is about proportional relationship. It is about equilibrium. It is about harmony. Okay. And in the developed country, we cannot take this. Okay. According to Hirschman, we cannot take both simultaneously. Okay. We cannot increase both simultaneously. Why? Because there is a lack of resource. So I am going to draw equal productive curve. You can think in terms of isopont. Okay. When you are drawing the isopont, what it represent? Equal output. Yes or no? For the given resource, it represents equal output. Okay. Here we are doing equal productive curve. Okay. And it is a no cost of combination of your direct productive activity and social overhead capital for corresponding level of national income. Okay. So what is equal productive curve? It is a no cost of combination of direct productive activity and social overhead capital for the corresponding level of national income. Okay. Or if you remember the definition of your isopont, okay, it is a no cost of combination of these two, okay, that will give you same level of output. You can think in that way. Okay. So this is based on national income level 1. Okay. And this is the point of balance growth. Say I have to deliberately unbalance the economy. Okay. And this is the equilibrium position, point A. And when we are talking about unbalanced growth, we have to create disproportional relationship, deliberately unbalancing the economy. Suppose we move from A to A prime. So we are deliberately unbalancing the economy by creating more of social overhead capital and less of direct productive activity. So when I have more of social overhead capital, there will be excess capacity in the economy. Okay, that means there will be more road available, there will be more communication available, more banking facility available, and this will induce direct productive investment. Okay, so creating disproportional, creating this tension in the economy, creating disequilibrium in the economy, what it have done when it have created excess capacity in the economy. Okay, and this excess capacity has made induced investment. Okay, direct productive activity will be coming up in the economy. It will increase from this level to this level. Okay, so we move to higher national income or higher equiproductive curve. Okay, from 1 to 2. At higher equiproductive curve, our equilibrium is at point B. Okay, and according to Hirschman, okay, unbalanced growth is a change of disequilibrium. Okay, so we again has to deliberately make disequilibrium in the economy. So I will make higher proportion of my investment out of this national income on social overhead capital, such that excess capacity will be created. So I move to B prime. Okay, when this excess capacity will be created as per national income 2, what will happen? It will induce direct productive activity again. So we move to new equilibrium at point C. Okay, at point C we will be having high level of national income, say 3. Okay, so through excess capacity, okay, equilibrium is same properly. We move from A to A prime to B, B prime, C. Okay, so here we should follow the sequence path A prime, B, B prime, C. Okay, this is a sequence of path that we follow when we are taking path of excess capacity, and this path is same properly. Now consider the other path. The second case, I am going to look at growth process from direct productive activity to social overhead capital. That means first direct productive activity will be taken, then based on that or based on the requirement of direct productive activity, social overhead capital will be provided. So for the given national income, okay, we will be having given investment level, and for the given investment level, when we are taking decision about direct productive activity, okay, the decision about direct productive activity will be a function of or will depend on your availability of social overhead capital. Let me start from here. Suppose this is my national income level 1. This is my equiproductive curve, okay, and this is the equilibrium at A, okay. Suppose national income increases to 2. When national income increases to 2, I want to increase my investment, and the thing that I am giving importance is direct productive activity. By keeping the same level of sourcing overhead capital, I increase my investment for direct productive activity at national level 2. Similarly, at national income level 1, I have the case here. Okay. So I increase my investment in the direct productive activity, but when my national income increases, keeping same level of social overhead capital. Okay. So I have created deliberately disproportional relationship. Okay. Or you can say disequilibrium between social overhead capital and direct productive activity. And at this national level 2, national income level 2, okay, I will be having certain investment. Based on that investment, I will be having direct productive activity. Okay. And this direct productive activity will depend on the availability of social overhead capital. So what we see is that, okay, this much of social overhead capital is compatible with this much of direct productive activity. Now I have more direct productive activity, okay, and less of social overhead capital. So what I have to do? I have to transfer resource, okay, so that the balance will be maintained between direct productive activity and social overhead capital. So there will be tension. Policymaker has to take out some resource from this direct productive activity, okay, and increase social overhead capital, okay, in such a way that harmony can be maintained between these two and we can achieve equilibrium. So we move to this point, say from A to B double prime to B, okay. Then we reach here, okay. Again, there is increase in national income to say level 3. So equiproductive curve will shift rightward, okay. When equiproductive curve shift rightward, again when there is a direct productive activity is coming up first, so this direct productive activity is at high level and we have shortage of social overhead capital. Then again resource has to be transferred, okay, so that we can have some of social overhead capital should be created in proportion to your direct productive activity, okay. Tension will be building up there if you have more direct productive activity. We have to reduce or transfer the resource from direct productive activity to the creation of social overhead capital, okay. We move from A to B double prime to B, then C double prime to C, okay. So here the sequence of movement that we will be having is A, B double prime to B, then C double prime to C, okay. Here there will be always tension building up because we want to make investment here. Since there is a lack of resources, okay, and we cannot sustain this much of direct productive activity without having more social overhead capital. Since underdeveloped country cannot make more social overhead capital, okay, given the resource constant, so they have to allocate the resource, transfer some of the resource from direct productive activity and create some more social overhead capital, okay, so that whatever direct productive activity is taking place, okay, it must be supported, okay. So we have a sequence of path from A to B double prime, then to B, okay. From equilibrium we have created deliberately disequilibrium, then again we move to equilibrium, then deliberately created disequilibrium, then move to equilibrium, okay. This is the growth path that when we follow when we have shortage of capacity, okay. After this he talk about linkages. Okay. The reason that he talk about linkages, okay, is that in order to achieve development, we require disequilibrium. Okay. So disequilibrium we can achieve only by choosing what we have to, which project we have to develop. Okay. So we have to select the project in order to create unbalance. Okay. And the project that we have to choose, okay, must be having both forward and backward linkage. Okay. There are two kinds of linkage, backward linkage and forward linkage. Okay. What is my purpose? Is to create disequilibrium, unbalance in economy by choosing project, okay, that have linkages and that create unbalances. And I have to choose that project that have the maximum linkages, both backward and forward. Okay. And what is this linkage? It is a phenomena, okay, that has the maximum capacity of a particular industry to generate demand for the industry. Okay, when I am setting up an industry, okay, what the capacity of this industry, okay, is such that it is creating or generating demand for other industries, both backward as well as forward. Okay, when we are talking about backward linkage, looking at the industry, okay, that are at the back seat of the supply chain. Okay, so we have to develop that industry. Suppose you are setting up, say, iron and steel industry. Okay, so for iron and steel industry, you require raw material like coal. Okay, that will form your backward linkage. Okay, so that is one basic sector. So you need to develop the base sector. When you are setting up some industry that have good amount of backward linkage, say iron and steel industry that have good backward linkage. So you have to develop coal sector, you have to develop lubricant sector, you have to develop power sector, you have to develop communication sector, you have to develop transport sector. Okay, they will be having base linkage. Okay, base sector must be developed. Forward linkage is about developing the industry that will be using this industry output. It's like you're making car. Okay, you are making the final output from steel, 7 final output. Okay, so that is what we mean by forward linkage. Okay, so here in the case of forward linkage, there will be establishment of industry. Okay, which are at advanced stage of this industry. Okay, and that will use the product of this industry. So he is saying that we need to focus on the industry, okay, that have the maximum, that have the highest or maximum backward and forward linkage. Okay, and at that time when he is writing, you have iron and steel industry, okay, that have the maximum backward as well as forward linkage. Okay, so he said that we have to focus on linkages, on what industry we have to create, okay, such that this equilibrium will be done in the economy, okay, and that industry which have more of backward and forward linkage, okay, will create inducement to invest, okay, not only in the base sector but also in the forward sector. Okay, so he is saying that we have to choose the industry that have the highest combined backward and forward linkage such that inducement to invest will be higher from both ends. Okay, so we have to have needing sector or needing industry, okay, that have backward linkage and forward linkage. Okay, so when this industry is developing, there will be inducement in the base sector through backward linkage, and there will be inducement in the forward sector also. Okay, forward sector will also develop through forward linkage. Okay, so this is what he is saying when he is talking about unbalanced growth, and why we have to develop this linkage. Okay, or why we have to focus on this sector, because he said that there is a limited resource, so we have to focus on strategically important sector. Okay, we don't have to produce everything in the stages of production. Okay, suppose we want to make steel, we require machine. We don't have to produce machine to begin with. We can import the machine. Okay, there is an intermediate goods requirement. We don't have to produce the intermediate goods to begin with. We can import that thing. We have to start producing, okay, from the leading sector. What this leading sector, say iron and steel, we have to produce that one. Then through backward linkage and forward linkage, other sector will develop in the economy. Okay, how it will develop? Through inducement to invest. Okay, so we have to select the sector that have the maximum possible linkage. Okay, and we don't have to choose on the stages of production. We have to choose that stage of production, okay, that have the maximum backward and forward linkage. Okay, okay. Critical appraisal. So in the balanced growth theory, we have seen that, okay, they have said that it's not possible for underdeveloped country to develop as long as they are not taking simultaneous investment. Okay, but here he has given us realistic picture. Okay, Hirschman has given us realistic picture that economy can develop, okay, by making unbalanced, by focusing on some strategically important sector. Okay, because in this underdeveloped country, okay, there is resource restriction, or you have limited resource. Okay, second, he is talking about that we can accelerate growth okay, by focusing on some specific sector. Third, he talk about various incentive, okay, he talk about various obstacle and resistance that these underdeveloped countries have, and he has talked about how this underdeveloped country can come out of this. Okay, so he talk about incentive, obstacle, and restraint, okay, that this country are facing, and the factor that can lead this country out of this constraint. Okay. Fourth, he is talking about backward and forward linkage. Okay. We have to focus on the industry that have the highest possible backward and forward linkage. Okay. He is not favoring state policy. Okay. He is not saying that state need to have on the control over the resources. Okay. But he is also not saying that private sector should have control over everything. Okay. So he wants state role. Okay. Along with private sector participation. Without private sector participation, okay, economy cannot develop. So for direct productive activity, okay, he favor private sector, but for creating social overhead capital, he favor state role along with private sector role. Okay. Then there is a criticism of this theory. Okay. So which sector to choose that have the highest possible linkage, forward and backward linkage. Okay. For that we have to do input-output analysis that you will do in mathematics and economics too. Okay, so we have to look at what are the project that has to be taken that has the highest possible linkages. Okay, so we have to do input-output analysis. We have to do empirical study. Then only we will be knowing which sector or which project we have to focus that have the highest possible backward and forward linkage. Backward means base sector linkage, and forward means the sector that is using this industry output. Second thing, he talk about that we need to have imbalance. Okay, we need to have imbalance. What is the optimum level of imbalance? That he has not talked about. Okay, so what is the optimum level of imbalance? Okay, between this social overhead capital and direct productive activity, that thing is also not talked about. Okay. Third thing, I have talked about that we can shift resources from direct productive activity to social overhead capital. Okay, but in realistic picture, it is difficult to shift resource. Difficult to shift resource from direct productive activity to social overhead capital, and from social overhead capital to direct productive activity. Fourth, when you are increasing investment, okay, income of the people is increasing. When income increases, demand is increasing. Okay, suppose you are creating social overhead capital. Okay, income of the people will increase, demand will increase. Okay, demand will be more than supply in the consumer goods sector. That will create inflation in the economy. So you can be having inflationary trend if you are not making optimum combination of social overhead capital and direct productive activity. Okay. Fifth thing, okay, he is talking about that we need investment in a strategically important sector. Okay, but there is an administration issue also that this underdeveloped country face, managerial issue, okay, and policy making issue. Okay, these things are also important. Administration issue, managerial issue, and policy making issue. Okay, without considering this in the underdeveloped country, no project can be taken fruitfully. Okay, so this is what you have in the unbalanced growth.